Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I mean, it was a really crappy weekend, but
Wasn't all crappy. Shout out to my sister who had her baby. So we're an aunt and uncle now.
we are. And also shout out to my friend Mike Hopes, had his first wrestle event. Um, Wrestle Party 360 at Telus on Sunday was an amazing event, and I'm so happy for him. So, Mike, congratulations. That was a wonderful job. You got some of the best independent wrestlers in America show up, and I'm just so happy for him, and I'm also happy that you and I got to go to New York City. Yes, I know the Giants lost 6-4 to the Phillies, and you can be
Anyway,
happy.
we're tied in the series now. Go ahead.
We can
Continue.
be happy for a night.
Yes.
I mean, two of the best teams in Major League Baseball.
It's a good matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great matchup, and I hope everybody was out there that's walking home. Alice City Park is happy, but hey, still two more games. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And by the way, just, congrats to Kai Wagner and his family because
Yeah.
they, yeah, his wife just gave birth. He announced it today. So, my sister had a baby with a name starting with an L, and so did Kai's, like a couple days apart. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot to be happy about. I know a lot of the Union fan base is really upset right now, and we'll get into that.
We just want to lead with something positive.
But we do. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the whole thing. We want to keep the positivity, so to
Yes,
speak.
I'm gonna be Posidelphia. I'm going to be Posidelphia. I'm not, the sky is not falling.
That's a really long drink there.
I'm just having water.
I know, but that's a really long drink there. I know. Anyway, before we get started, what are we wearing today?
Um, well, happy birthday, Choo Choo. Okay. Happy birthday, Jesus Bueno. I'm wearing my Jesus Bueno MLS bootleg. Okay. So, you know, um, and yeah, what the heck? And we can talk about this later, but yeah, I have questions about what's going on with Jesus Bueno. Like,
I mean, it's the
just
same
let,
thing that was going on, but
but yeah, it's his birthday. I had to laugh at when the social media they put out like, happy birthday, Jesus, and people were like, wait, it's not Christmas.
do you see that watch? That was a nice watch.
Oh gosh, Kyle. I
Okay.
know where you're going with that.
Anyway,
In joke, in joke.
in joke.
No, but
Anyway, no, on today's episode, we're going to talk about Daniel Gazdag traded to Columbus Crew, Union's lackluster performance in NYCFC, and we're going to end on a positive note.
yes.
Union 2 won 5-1
Yes, that's
over
right. We did talk about
Atlanta
them, yeah.
2. So we were there.
And pause, you didn't say what you're wearing, Kyle, because you got something interesting there.
I have a Las Vegas Lights Vegas Fix shirt. This is my favorite shirt from the downtown kit that they're wearing. They're doing a downtown thing right now.
Yep.
Shout out to them. They got a USL. Uh, Las Vegas Lights versus Union.
Kyle, you would go nuts if that were the case.
If this is Cashman Field, are we covering that game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bottom line.
Anyway,
Anyway, um, who you cheer for in that match?
Union, duh.
Of course. I mean, we both
No,
are.
we'd be cheering for nobody because we'd be in the media and we have to be impartial. I'm cheering for the Union. Like,
Fair point. Fair
yes.
point.
Like, on the
But
DL.
we're having
Yeah,
fun.
yes. Absolutely.
So sorry this is a day late. I have been sick. Still sick. And just walking over
What am
because
I talking about? I'm Typhoid Mary, just passing on all the school sickness probably
yeah.
from you.
Anyway, so we apologize now. This is Wednesday. You'll probably listen to this podcast. I've been sick for 2 days, but we're gonna stroll through this one. And where can people follow us?
Well, first of all, find us wherever you get your podcasts. And we have our website, theoneteamweagreeon.com. You can find us on our YouTube channel, The One Team We Agree On. And we have our socials. We are at Twitter and Blue Sky at TOTWAG. and we're on Instagram and Facebook at the One Team We Agree On. Find us on our personal socials. I'm at silly_Jilly on Twitter and Instagram, and at Jillian Almany on Blue Sky, and you, Kyle, are at Coach Almany on everywhere.
Anyway, let's get into this. So let's talk about the news of the day that, and thank you to everybody that's listened to the interview with Marlon LeBlanc.
That was an incredible episode to do.
And I mean, it's now our highest rated one, right now on Twitter. I mean, yeah, on Twitter, like Facebook, everybody's interacting with us. We're at over 100 views.
Like
So,
Spotify and
yeah,
all that stuff.
and
Yes.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that.
Um,
It got released on the day that some other news got
yeah.
broke, and that was Daniel Gazdag got traded to the Columbus Crew. So,
Yeah. What an eventful week. So I want to say if you didn't listen to the podcast with Marlon, it was such a great conversation.
it was.
Marlon's an awesome coach. He was great to talk to and hear his backstory and hear some great stories he had from his time coaching at like West Virginia and also, with Union 2. And so, and so on. So definitely check it out if you haven't yet.
But anyway, cash trade for
Yes.
4 million plus 500K incentives. Uh, Based on league rules, Daniel and his representatives are entitled to 10% of the deal, which is always a good thing. I love that rule.
Yeah.
Like, you get traded, you get some money. I
Yeah.
mean,
You
heck yeah.
should. Yeah.
Leafs Club, the all-time Leafs scorer, Gazdag recorded 59 goals, 31 assists on 217 shots. Uh, Over 10,000 minutes played and 125 total appearances, 115 starts in his 5 seasons with Union. Daniel played 45 minutes on Sunday in his debut with Columbus. I know a lot of people have said that he had this hockey assist. MLS does not record that. He just played 45 minutes according to them.
Hmm.
So I think something happened there, but he did have one key pass, which I think was what a lot of people said was a hockey assist.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
I thought he looked good.
yeah, I mean, Columbus Crew came back. Gaza was a very important part. He seemed happy. And he seemed in his form. But Jillian, my question to you is your thoughts when you first heard about the trade on Tuesday? How did you feel about the whole situation?
So uh, I was at work and I saw this come up when I had like a free moment. And I was like, what? Kind of like how I felt when Jack McGlynn got traded. But to me, this was even more like he's going to an in-conference rival. Like, what? And not only that, you know, probably the top team, really.
Right.
Um, I know, like, that's just like, what? Columbus Crew are already like pretty solid, and now they're getting, one of the Union's best players, their all-time leading goal scorer. I'm like, and, you know, it makes like the trade makes sense for, maybe he's going to fit better in that system, and he already looked like he was, fitting in really well.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I'm like, okay, it's, the Union are getting something for him, when it's a good time to. I get that. I get the good that it's maybe a good business move. I just personally hate that it's the Columbus Crew and in that they're like in the conference and they're going to be against him in a few weeks. So it's just like if it would have been Western Conference, maybe I would have minded as much if he was going to Europe. I'd be like, good for you, Danny. That's awesome. It's kind of like how I felt with Jack, but it's even like worse because it's, in the Eastern Conference. So,
No, and I think it's fair to say that, in the articles we've heard
hmm
and the reports that they tried to trade him to Western Conference. I mean,
And they
Dallas
were
was
looking at
one.
January and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dallas.
Dallas, and then went with Costa. I mean, at the end of the day, my whole thought is this. It's a great business move. I mean, you get
Hmm.
4.5. I'm sure he's going to hit those incentives. If he doesn't, you still get $4 million. It's a great move. My question is, then Ernst, after the announcement was made, the union on Friday, I was at a gala event for my work, and all the news is coming out, and then Ernst posted that whole video like, here's why we needed to make that move.
Hmm.
Okay, so you didn't make the move because he was going to be the highest paid player. And I get that. I know a lot of Union fans are saying the roster's worse off, and he's saying, well, we still got depth and we still got talent. No, you don't, because without Daniel Gosling, and I get it, he doesn't fit the system.
Some people would say, oh, he was being invisible.
Yes, I have said this several times on this podcast, but
Hmm.
he's still a quality player.
He is.
Now, Indiana Vasilov, yeah, sure. Now that opens the room for Kevin and CJ, and I get all that. Credit to Union for sticking to their guns.
Hmm.
Ernst has a plan. And
They're
he's gonna
sticking to it.
live.
They're not being wishy-washy about it. I
They're
mean,
gonna live by the sword. They're gonna die by the sword, as I
so
like
we'll
to
see
say.
if
And
it.
and there's credit in that.
Hmm.
But you can't go out and say we still believe in this roster and trade away your best goal scorer.
And he seemed very, like
He even
Danny,
said
he was
like
surprised.
he was like, I want to retire in Philly.
Yeah, he would have been happy to retire in Philly. He's very and he seems to enjoy being there with his family, and they've all bought into it and he likes the pro teams, in Philly. He likes going to Eagles and Sixers and
Yeah,
stuff. And it's like,
he's bought in.
yeah, and well, go to Columbus. You got
Hope you
the
like
blue.
hockey,
Hope you
pal.
like hockey, but
But no, like in all seriousness, like, and we talked to Dave Leno,
yeah.
and there was a couple talks in New York City on the weekend.
Hmm.
Do you really feel like that was the best move for Tanner to do that, like, interview? Let
Uh,
go. Just say it, because I'll say it right now if you don't want to.
well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people didn't like it, but go ahead.
It's a lose-lose.
It really is. You are not going to please everybody.
No, it's like giving $100 to fans that are unhappy
Yep.
and then saying, well, I don't care about the fans, but here's why we did it. Well, I give you credit for that, but what was the reason for that? Because then Tom Boger comes out and says, well, the GM says, well, when they give the offer, they're like, are you sure about that?
Like, sounds like the union could have gotten more for him.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
Again, at the end of the day, I don't know how anything's true. I'm
yeah,
sure Columbus is spinning it to their fans like, hey, we got a deal for this guy. Look at him. And
their fans seemed very excited about it.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I get why the
I
union,
get it. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily happy about it, but I get it.
at the end of the day, I think this, like, you have to credit the union staying for their guns.
Yeah.
With Jack McGlynn and Daniel, you get $7 million. Now, at the end of the day, it's on ownership to make, whether it's in this window,
Yeah.
and Todd brought it up on his podcast, window closes on April 23rd. I hope they make some moves, but if they don't, you got flexibility. You got an open DP spot. You got 7 million probably coming off the books next winter,
Mm-hmm.
and you can make some moves this window. And it does. I get where the Union are going to this, but prior to the last match, you're still there. You're still competing. And I feel like, this is like overthinking it.
Yeah.
But having said that, hey, I mean, We're not smartest people on this platforms. We're never going to be the smartest people on this platforms. That's just our insight.
Mhm.
Like as coaches, would I have made this move like in a transfer for a swimmer? Maybe. It depends on the situation. If the
Mhm.
union really felt that way, like Gazdag, 30-year-old is now past his prime.
He's 29.
I know, but he's going to be 30 after
Hmm.
the option.
Yeah.
Ua's off the books. Lesnes has an option next year.
Yeah.
Are they just retooling? That's a really good question. What's your take?
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
It's an end of era.
it is. You know what it feels like? It feels like when, you had the Phillies, 2008, world champions team, like it feels like, okay, they tried to ride it out with, those guys with that
Yeah.
crew for a while. And you saw them kind of, okay, 2009, they go to the World Series, they lose. Then, they go 2010. We're not
2010.
going to talk about what happened in 2010
Let's
because
talk about
no,
2010.
but
Let's talk about 2010.
they get to NLCS and lose to some team that no one cares about. And then, and it was ball for the, called it bad. Anyway, um, yeah. Anyway, and then 2011, they go to the NLDS and Ryan Howard blows his Achilles, and I was there. I saw it first. I was at both of those season-ending games. Don't even start, Kyle. Okay, you were not. Okay. And did you like how I put that picture of us with the Philly and Giants thing down here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I dug it out, the picture.
Do you
Anyway,
want to bring that up? Just bring that up. That's a really cute picture
it
of
is a
us.
nice picture. That's from like when you look at the lineup that's behind us, it's like
Yeah,
Chase
let's just
Utley's
bring
on
it up.
it. Okay.
Hold on, she's gonna bring us up. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify now, this is like one of our first pictures.
Yeah.
God, we're so young.
Oh my gosh, babies. But yeah, so it's funny because when I look at this, yeah, it has Chase Utley at second. It's got Jason Worth in there. It's got, I think, can't read what that one is. But anyway, Chooch is in there. So like you have, yeah, this was at some point during that run. Anyway,
Yeah.
so, but
Anyway,
yeah, when they were starting to, leave, and like, like that core group was being dismantled, like that era was coming to an end, and it was like seeing Chase Utley go to the Dodgers, it's like, ugh. But at the same time, you're happy to see him, still like we still everyone cheered him on. Nobody was hating on Chase Utley when he was like, it's like how we feel about seeing Reese Hoskins. He gets applauded. It's like obviously you want the Phillies to win, but anyway. That being said, yeah, change has got to happen at some point. You've got to keep getting better or it's gonna be stale. Um,
they ran it back, and they were this close to bringing Jack Elliott back to
mhm.
bring it back
Would
again.
you have rather brought back Jack Elliott instead of Glessness?
No, no. I mean, I think we need to move on from
Yeah,
both of them. And I
I
hate to
honestly do.
say that.
I
I
do.
think we need to retool. And if Jan can get back, that's great.
Because I was really encouraged by Jan's play, and then he gets hurt again, and it's like,
And then you saw what happened last year. This is why he was available from Old Boys. I mean,
yeah,
it.
yeah. So
I just remember me and Tamwell walking to a conference, and Tamwell looking at me and going, if this team just addressed center backs, they'd be good.
mm-hmm,
And I'm like, well, that's not a bad take.
mm-hmm,
I think now we see a lot more holes,
yeah,
but it's like the Dolphins right now after all the news of this day. And my gosh, I don't even want to get into Dolphins. Like, just scrub that out right here.
but
I
yes, let's
mean,
go these guys though.
I mean, gosh, be an Eagles fan right now, you're so much better than a Dolphins fan. But no, there are things that need to be addressed.
Yeah,
Now, having said that, it's not Negadelphia.
I think what
I
and
think like with these, I'm sorry to cut you off here.
yeah,
You got 3 games, and we're going to talk about it at the end of this episode. You got 3 games now to turn the ship, and that's really going to be on Carnell and the company to turn the ship. But
yes, we'll get to that. But yeah, they Yeah, if they win the next two games, for instance, I think that will, well, three obviously be good, but I'm saying, um,
They're at Montreal.
yeah, well, saying these next two home games against struggling
Oh yeah,
teams,
yeah.
like, but anyway, but all in all, like seeing Danny take the field in the Goosebumps kit. I'm not gonna say what I actually call it. Anyway, while Polome's like, "You ruined that kit for me," and I'm like, "I did not come up with that. Okay, someone else ruined it for me." Anyway, um, I mean, it's a cool concept. I'm not gonna lie, they actually look pretty cool in person. But anyway, it was just so weird with that. But yeah, Danny in his press conference, you know, it,
Oh, let's talk about
yeah, I
that.
want to talk about that. So he said something to the effect of, it's nice to go to a team that, is actually like trying to win, you know, cups and stuff. Like something
What's
like
he gonna
paraphrasing.
say though?
I
Like, hi,
Number
I'm
one,
happy to be here.
well,
No, like,
also the way it said it though, also remember English is his second language too. Okay. So sometimes, I wouldn't put too much into necessarily the wording of how that came
no,
out.
but it came off really,
Like kind of like
really.
like a shot at
And well, the one is where like, why are you here? And he's like, well, you need to talk to somebody else.
that, yeah.
That's the more damning one.
That one is, yeah.
That's the more damning one.
Yeah. So,
And look, we've already spent a lot of time on this. And
and
fine,
he Danny posted something nice on his Instagram yesterday thanking
yeah.
the fans, and I know he means that. And so, I mean, I'll be interested to see um May 10th when Columbus comes to town, you know, how he's received. I personally would, you know, not be one to say sucks. It's just like anytime you guys all know if when they announce the opposing team, people in the river end turn around, put their little
Yeah,
birds up and they say sucks. And if I were in that situation, I
we'll applaud.
I would, yeah. And at the very least, like when they announce, like, say, Matt Freeze and stuff, I don't say sucks. I wouldn't say sucks. Like, I would be more like just silent on it.
I remember back in the day when I was still at the river and all the time, and they would say sucks. I'd be like, nope, he does not
Yeah, I
suck.
know you would.
I'd
Yeah.
be like, nope, he
You'd
does
be like, nope,
not.
he doesn't actually suck. But
But
um
no.
no, like trying to think, there's been players they've applauded that were former players.
Yeah.
So it's like, respect. So I don't know. I think Danny will get a warm welcome actually
Oh,
when
I
he comes
think he
back. I
will
mean,
too.
he's the team's top goal scorer. It's not like he left, you know, in on like really bad terms or anything.
No,
So
it
it
was a
is what it is.
situation. It was a contract
Yeah.
was up.
Yep.
It sounded like the contract they couldn't negotiate on the union terms,
Yeah.
and now they're moving forward. A
Yep.
good deal for both teams. I
Yeah.
know fans don't like it, but hey, you get 4 million for this guy. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta be happy for it. But anyway,
Yep. So that's my thoughts.
let's talk about a really bad performance.
Yeah. So I would say we are flushing this one down the toilet.
We are,
Not
and
as
that's the
in
title of the episode, flushing
because
this one down the toilet.
it took place in
Now,
Flushing, New York.
yeah, we did, and we drove up there.
Yeah, so we
We,
drove up. We were gonna take the train initially, and then we didn't because we couldn't really get a good deal on it. It's a little trickier coming from Lancaster where we are because it was gonna either be like take the train from Lancaster, but then we don't have a return train at the right time, or drive to Philly and then take the train. We're like, let's just drive it. It's gonna be easier at this point. Um,
and we got back in
we
time.
got home before Todd and Jose did, and Todd gave his whole account on his pod
We
about he
got
almost
home at
missed the train.
2:30.
Yeah, we got home at 2:30. And it's not that bad of a drive,
No,
honestly.
it's
It's like
not.
there's traffic when you're going in there, but coming home was easy enough.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and we made a couple stops too. Got
yeah,
some food.
yeah.
But no, let's talk about, the press box. Let's talk
Okay,
about
yeah.
the experience. So what was your thoughts on the press box?
Okay, so the press box was, I mean, obviously this isn't a baseball stadium, and so it was pretty big. It was like a really big press
Yeah.
box. And enclosed, so the windows were down. So I was honestly, I'm not always a fan of windows being down, but that night I was glad of it because it was kind of cold and rainy. Um, so yeah, I was okay with that. And it was like I said, it was pretty crowded there, but all in all, it wasn't bad. But it's a weird like angle,
It is.
because we were behind basically home plate. Um,
Now,
but
if we were there for a baseball
it would be
game,
perfect if you're there for a baseball game. In
for a
fact, where
soccer
we were,
match,
yeah, and Sons of Ben were actually just over to the side from us. We could see them, and they saw
yeah,
us, we were waving. But I have to say, like, credit to them, you know, they sounded really loud from where we were. Now, of course, you can't, because they were so close to us. Of course, they're going to sound loud, but they have the roof right there too. So, I haven't watched the game like on TV or anything. I watched the broadcast of it, but so I don't know how it sounded on that. But credit to them, they were pretty loud and they were bringing it, and they had a pretty good group there.
they did. I thought overall it was a really nice press
Mm.
box. I
Yeah,
mean,
people were nice that we talked to. So
yeah, I mean, shout out to Trey Fillmore, from the Blue Balls podcast. Fellow member of NSR, had a nice conversation with him
mhm.
at half. Also, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of content creators there.
There were
Um, when NYCFC scored that goal,
people
there's,
reacted in the press
yeah,
box, and you're not supposed, for those that don't know,
you're not supposed
you're
to
not
do that.
supposed to react to things
There
like,
was a lot of reaction. I mean,
yeah.
Todd and I were talking, and Jose's even like, they're reacting. We're all like,
Not to
eh.
mention we saw somebody actually wearing like NYC stuff in the press box.
Yeah,
And for those that don't know, you're not supposed to wear anything like team
no,
related there.
no. And that's why
So
you
we're
see
like,
me like walk around during match day with nothing. I'm in the press box.
yeah,
We don't do that. Like,
yeah,
that's code conduct. That's
yeah.
ethics. And like, I'm not trying to get on this, but
But I'm just like surprised. Yeah.
the food. So remember the last podcast I said Todd would like this, and Todd's like,
Uh-huh.
so Todd Lewis is like, ah, I got like
Chicken tenders.
chicken tenders, fries,
There's cannolis.
cannolis.
Oh, some good cannoli.
There's Italian sausage and cheeseburgers.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it was taking me out to the ball game. So
Yeah, so that was good.
I did like the spread.
It was a good
Now
spread.
it was like the Union. There was no spread at halftime, and I get that. They still had water, and that's
Oh, speaking of which though, and so about Union at Union 2 though, on last Thursday, there was stuff still at halftime. And I
there
know because you
was.
went and got more food.
I know.
And I got some hot coffee. And as anyone knows me well knows, if I'm drinking hot coffee, it's because I'm desperate, because I'm cold or I need caffeine or something. Because I'm all
Yeah.
about the iced coffee.
It
But
overall it was a
yeah,
good
that
time.
was good. And so yeah, so let's talk about
Let's
the
talk about the
game
match. So, Chris
lineup.
Sullivan
Yeah.
made his 45th MLS start. Um, Indiana made his second start for the Union. 70th of his MLS career for Todd
Hmm.
Maria made his 25th start.
Yep.
Um, Jillian,
Yes.
overall thoughts on the match overall. Look, the Union fall 1-0. And I was
Hmm.
talking to Ken Mack on Sunday when I was over there with Mike Hopes.
Oh yeah.
He was there with the Arsenal group.
Nice.
And I said, he's like, what was that? I'm like, it was a lackluster performance. Kai said it.
Yes.
Everybody said it.
Yeah. So, what I said, me, we were leaving. I'm like, just that was uninspiring. Like, it was just they didn't have a single shot on target by the halftime. It
Right.
took them until second half to actually get a shot on target. They had a few blocked shots. By the end of it, they had a lot of shots, but not a whole lot on target. Neither team was really doing a whole lot for creating, and honestly, if we're being real, that game probably should have been a draw. I know Bradley said it too, minus that fluky goal where McConaughey gets caught. Oh God.
But we saw that so many times with Union
This is not
too.
a surprise. Yeah, he would get caught. And, Neil, to his credit,
Would
was
cover.
good there.
And so would Frankie.
And Frankie, yeah, Frankie, like,
And
seriously.
so would even Gavin at times. Like they back
Yeah.
him up. That's
Yeah.
what made good.
They kind of were all in sync there. They knew,
But when you have Harrow High,
yeah, Glesnos.
Glassness is who he is right now
Yeah.
at this point. And then, I
Yeah.
mean, and that's not on even,
No.
that's not on Harriel.
and Andrew Rick is used to playing with him and everything, but like
He comes out of the
he
box.
came a little he was a little too aggressive there, I
I
think.
don't think so. Like I
No.
agree with Cornell. Like he needs to make that save,
I mean, yeah.
but maybe he needs to get bigger and back up. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fault
I don't
Rick.
blame that goal on Andrew Rick.
And I don't blame it on Harrell. I saw people saying on social media that was on Harrell. Harrell
Nah.
gets a foul there. That's a dog, so he's gone.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't foul there. Like
No.
Harrell's got to track that
No,
guy.
I would lay that mostly on Makanya
Yeah,
there.
he got
So,
caught in no man's land.
yeah. So, I mean, Rick, it was unfortunate he gets beat and then a little tap in, basically. It was basically like, an
That
empty
bulge
netter.
dribble, and we're like,
Or
oh.
just like, it was like watching it in slow motion. It's like,
It's like the Brandon Vasquez goal from 2 years ago.
oh God.
Yeah, like that. We're just like, yeah, that's where I
I
was
knew
like,
it was reminding me of something where I was like, it was like watching it in slow motion. It's just like you see it like going in slow. It's
you
like,
see it happen. But anyway,
yeah. So that wasn't good. Rick made some really great saves though. I mean,
yeah.
12th minute, big save. As I recall, he made some good ones. Matt Freeze was good on it, for the few shots
I
that
mean, Donovan had a
probably
shot
the best
that
shot of the night. And Donovan gets so much crap, but honestly, like
that was a good play.
he definitely has some good moments. But
There was
you know,
that time with like Damiani made a nice shot, like
mhm,
and credit to NYCFC. They blocked a lot of shots. They blocked Sullivan. There
mhm,
was that play where like there was that tap in where Breva just needs to knock it over. It's a
yeah.
goal, and like Todd and I are looking at each other, going, "What are they doing?"
Yeah, they're just I don't know if teams are just figuring out the union at this point or what, but
Well, I think they are. I
I
mean,
do.
they're this is not something that, and I'm sorry, Bradley. Like, I hope you're listening. Probably not, but this is a lot of signs and symptoms of 2024 in St. Louis City.
Hmm. They got off
And
to a hot start and
well,
well,
not
that
that
whole
was 2023.
2023 they had a
They
great
got off
season
the
and
hot
they
start
got off the
that
real hot start that
not
whole
as hot
season.
as they were in 2023.
Yeah, but 2024 just went
My concern
yep.
is, yes, I think teams figured out the Red Bull system.
Yeah.
Now it's up to Cardinal and Company to rise above this, learn from the mistakes of St.
Hmm.
Louis City, and
Yep.
push forward.
Yes.
But
So,
we got a couple clips, and the first
yeah.
one is the substitution.
Yeah.
You asked why they brought on the whole
I mean,
substitution.
yeah, so when we're like, okay, they're bringing Ua in. It's like, who are they bringing Ua in? It's like, oh, they're bringing him for Danley. So you had three strikers on there. And I just asked Carnell, about, um, that decision.
And offensively,
That's not
you guys scored 10 goals your
No,
first season.
sorry,
that'd be Todd.
that'd be Todd. That was probably you here.
Get it right, Kyle.
Can you talk about the
That's it.
decision to bring McCall on for Danley?
Well, we're losing the game. We need to make a push, and we have to be a little bit creative and get an extra striker on board. And we start to make a push, and last couple of minutes you throw caution to the wind, and I think just the natural progression. We pushed Ty Bariba in the 10 to get two strikers on there. We brought in Ale Bedoya, and I thought at times we created a little bit crosses from wide areas, and Donovan gets ahead off, and that's a good save from Matt. So yeah, we pushed the game. Unfortunately, it wasn't as quite controlled or how it's been over the last couple of weeks. And that's something that we're just going to have to look at. And, I would say it's been what now? 7, 8 weeks plus 5 weeks, 13 weeks or what have you of this journey. And I would say today we let ourselves down a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, he's trying to be creative there and trying to get something going. And so
No, I get that.
credit to that.
And
Yeah.
I just was like, why are we putting Ty at the 10? Like,
Mm.
are we really that desperate at that
Yeah.
time?
So,
But
I mean, he's trying something. I mean, credit to him for that.
I
But
know, and it was like too little too late, I felt. But at least he is trying something. But it goes back to,
Mhm.
is this lineup not working?
Okay, you know what I would have liked to have seen?
What?
Jesus Bueno. Jesus Bueno. Where and here's my rant, okay? No. uh, What is going on with him? He was in Jim's doghouse, it seemed. Now it seems like he's in Bradley's doghouse. Now I know Bradley has said, there's just a lot of competition and it's not
But
that some
Jim
guys
said the
aren't playing
same
well.
thing.
And but here's my thing. You remember last year, NYCFC, Choo Choo comes on, and what does Choo Choo do?
Score a
He
goal.
scores. And what does he seem to do a lot of times when he gets brought on? He
Score.
he scores or he has, he plays really well. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. I would like to see
I
him.
just think Choo Choo doesn't fit the system
Maybe
at the
that's what it
Union.
is.
But at the same time, I think he is a valuable piece that I would like to see more of.
He brings, definitely some energy, and
But he's a defensive piece.
yeah. But that being said, I just would you have liked to have seen Cavan come on?
Kevin doesn't fit that.
I know, I'm just saying in the game, do you think it would have made sense to sub him on?
No, it wouldn't.
I wasn't expecting it in that game, honestly. What I did say was I think this game needs Frankie. And he
And he
did get
comes
brought on
on and he
late.
gets a
He gets a yellow
card.
card. Like, okay.
And he's doing Frankie stuff. And
Yeah.
like, look, I love you, Frankie.
Yeah.
That was, I don't think that was, that was like a harsh yell.
That was a weak foul. Like that was
Yeah.
that was a
Is
little
it
sus.
yellow? Maybe, maybe not. But at the same time, I think,
Mm.
I think moving forward, you could slide Harrell in.
Yeah.
You
Um,
put Frankie with Kai.
Yeah.
I think you'd be okay.
Yeah.
But you need to address center backs.
Yeah.
So,
And while we're on Frankie, by the way, that was his 7th appearance. We have not had it announced that he has been, because remember he was an off roster homegrown,
right.
and he's in that role they're allowed 6 appearances before they need to be moved to like supplemental slots.
So
We haven't had any announcement of that, but we assume he has been. It's just they haven't announced anything.
I'm sure he has been. I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, he has to be.
Yeah.
So,
They made it, they put out about Neil.
Philadelphia, I got a question for you on Thursday.
Hmm.
When's the announcement? And if you're going to say he's made an announcement already, you haven't. So
Yeah,
please make that announcement.
Yeah, they made the announcement about Neil having his 2nd appearance, which, Neil, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if Neil's ready, but honestly,
Neil's ready.
Neil's ready, and Marlon made a good point. I mean, you don't really know till they're thrown in there,
I mean,
And
again, I'm going to go
they could
back
adapt
to
to it.
this is going to cringe some fans. I'd rather see Makanya.
I've
and
said I'd rather see Neil than Makanya.
No, I'd like to see Neil and Makanya.
Neil and Makanya. Some people will be like, oh, but
I said that to Ken. He's like, oh, I got buckle up here. I'm like,
hey, we signed up for
buckle
Union
up,
too, and I know
but-
Ken has too, so he knows.
but there has been some really beautiful times that they have been good together.
They have.
And people are probably listening, saying, I'm gonna unsubscribe and I'm turning you off right now, Kyle, because that's a wild take.
But we saw Union 2 all season with them. Now, granted, it's MLS Next Pro.
Right.
But listen, number
when
one,
they were clicking,
they-
they were good.
they had good communication. They were clicking. It was good. And let me tell you, there's a reason why Neil's getting called up to these national team camps and stuff. The kid has really good,
I'm not saying Makanya's the answer.
no.
And I've had people say in my comments, like, you're saying Makanya's the answer. No, I'm not. Like,
No, he's learning. He's doing better, but he's also still making blunders. It's happened.
So he is so aggressive. I love that, but
I love it, but at the same time,
it's like, buddy, bring it
uh,
back, bring it back. But at the same time, you got so many games in May.
mhm.
You need
Probably
to
gonna-
try it. What's the worst
Yeah.
gonna happen? Try it at the U.S. Open Cup. The worst thing that
Give it a
happens
shot.
is you're out of the cup.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see that. I'd love to see Neil get
And
a
what
chance.
happens if it works?
Like people said people weren't sure Frankie was ready, and look what Frankie's doing,
Well, we bring this up all the
But
time.
I mean, like, I'm just saying,
It's a fair point.
it is. I would have minded, I would like to see at some point Marcus get another shot with the first team, like, get him in there at some point because he's been looking real good with Union 2. And I know Jim even said last year, oh, it's a big jump to MLS, but we've seen him play well at the MLS level. And if he can stay healthy, I really like what he brings. He might be good to bring in late
I'd
in the
rather
game.
bring him in the Chris Donovan. I hate to say
I
that.
would rather bring him in than Chris Donovan. No offense, Chris.
No,
But
Chris gave me a great interview, and I
yeah,
appreciate it.
Chris, no, Chris is great. Yeah, like I think Marcus has a lot of potential if he can stay healthy. Poor guy has
So
had a rough go with that.
let's
So,
talk about the other problem the Union are having with creating chances with the passes. And
mhm.
Yeah. This was one of your lower performances, but it also seemed like you guys were having difficulty connecting on in the build-up. What were they doing in the midfield, particularly? Was there anything you were
Yeah.
doing, or was it the field?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you play this field, it's like a rondo, right? Things come at you quickly,
Yeah.
the spaces run out of, so, I think we could have stretched them a little bit more, I think we could have run the line a little bit more, put them under pressure, make them face their own goal. And these were some of the things we try to correct, we try to plan for during the week. And we spoke again at halftime. So, unfortunately we didn't get quite the performance in that, sort of phase of the play, phase of the game that we wanted to. Yeah, we let ourselves down a little bit tonight, and yeah, we'll look at that at the drawing board and move on from here.
I just love how
Bradley's probably like, oh, this guy's bringing stats at me,
and believe it or not, it was second lowest performance. I went back and checked. So credit to you, Bradley. This probably was like, but anyway,
Yeah.
no, at the same time, you were having like Kai brought it up, like they just weren't connecting.
Yeah, and the field dimensions and all that definitely, play a role in it. But, you think about it, they won the last 3 times they've been there. Like, so I don't know, like, at least I should say they've been at NYCFC, whether it was at Yankee Stadium or City Field. So, I mean, yeah,
It is what it is, and it's a really good question because under Curtin they won,
they did.
and now
They won 5-1 last year.
and under Cardinal, the last time Cardinal was playing NYCFC at Red Bull on road, he lost.
Mhm.
It's a very good point. Having said that, moving on. Um, Michelle asked us,
Mhm.
friend of the show,
Yep.
why scoring drought? I'm sorry about Danny. Feels like last year reinforcements are coming, but they're really replacements. I feel like we take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and opposites attract, and
Mhm.
Um, and I hate watching Columbus game tonight. P.S. We need Bruno.
Bueno, she said. Bueno.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Sorry,
agree. I
Bruno.
agree. So yeah, the last time they scored a goal was Jan
Yeah.
against St. Louis City, right?
Carnell talked about.
Or no, that was
No,
that was the last time they scored at home. No, they scored at Miami.
that was Donnie.
Yeah. We got to see Danny's last Union goal in person.
Hey, look, I think this is still something they're working on.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But I don't think it's like doom and gloom.
No.
But it's like the next 3 games, if they keep this up, then we have questions.
Exactly. I mean, like, some people are already like, tell the team and all this stuff, and like
Stop that.
like pump the brakes a little
Can we
bit.
stop that? Because
Like, as of recording this, it's April 15th. I hope you guys all got your taxes in, by the way. We filed ours like 2 months ago on it.
no,
But
can we stop to sell the team? Look,
it's
they're
not
not-
happening. First
they're
of
not
all,
selling the team. This is a team we have. So we need to look at the parameters. Now, I don't disagree that maybe things need to be better.
Mhm.
But looking from an objective standpoint, you could be CF Montreal.
I mean, the Union are in what, 5th right now? I mean,
You could be CF Montreal.
we all had people had low expectations
Oh
coming into
yeah,
this.
like
But
we had wooden spoon dreams.
now we got to see how they do the next few
Yeah,
games,
for
okay?
sure.
Because if I'll tell you what, you know what it reminds me of too, and it's not quite the same caliber, but remember when the Eagles were 2-2, and people were like, fire Nick Sirianni, and oh my God, the team sucks, and oh my God, this, and this, and what did the Eagles end up doing? You know, but I'm just saying.
Your guest canceled.
Now, listen, I'm not expecting the Union to go on some tear and win MLS Cup. Now, could they? You never know. But I'm saying
That'd be the greatest thing
that
ever.
would be the greatest thing ever. But I'm just saying, like, it's so early in the season yet, and they had most, I mean, yeah, they haven't scored much, but it's also soccer, and that's how these things go sometimes. I mean, okay, so they had a loss, and before that they had a scoreless draw, before that they had a loss, but like it's not like it could be a lot worse. Look at some of these other teams,
You
what they're
know
going
I
through.
want to get on the podcast.
Hmm.
Mike Thomas.
All
Mike,
right, Mike, if you're listening, we'll have you on. We'd like to hear from you. But no,
actually, I'd love to have this debate with Mike because
yes.
I agree with 50, probably over 75% of his
Yeah.
takes.
So anyway, so yeah, I think a big test is on Saturday. We'll see.
I'm going to tell you this, and I said this to Todd today. Next 4 games, you got Atlanta, who, as talented as they are, and I'm going to ask Bradley about this, they have not won on the road yet this year. Then you have DC, who is struggling. And then you have CF Montreal. In Montreal, I get that. We were there and they were not good and Union dropped points.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, you can get 7 points in the next 3 matches.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
And then you go into that busy month. Anything below that, now you're kind of cutting yourself short. And now we
Yeah.
gotta ask questions.
Yeah. So when we spoke to Kai post game, he basically said, yeah, this was a game to forget. And they weren't connected, but it's like,
We gotta win.
you got to win these next, we got to win these next 2 games and go from there, basically.
Basically.
So, yeah. So
It's April.
It's April.
Let's wash this under the bridge. Let's forget Danny. And let's move forward. Now, let's talk about a positive subject.
Union too.
We talked to Ryan.
Yes.
And we've been beating this drum. And I feel bad for Ryan Richter, but it's an honest question. Where has the attack been?
Yeah. And the attack showed up.
Down, man.
Well, I mean, Union 2 were up a man.
Yes, well, they were up a man, but Atlanta 2 was down, man.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, you can preface it saying, well, they were down, man.
Yeah.
But the connection was there. We saw the first spark.
Yeah. So basically, okay. So last Thursday, yeah, Union 2, they had their home match against Atlanta United 2, and they won 5-1, and they were already up 2-0 when they went up a man.
Yeah,
So,
so 3 of the goals came up a man.
Yeah, so they opened up scoring with Stas. He had his first pro goal.
Nice
his
little
first
header.
goal. Yeah, so real nice header there. And then right before the half, Neil Pierre scored.
Nice header.
Really nice header. Both of those headers were awesome. So, and then second half, one of the Atlanta players gets his second yellow, so he's off.
Who, by the way, was signed to the first team with Atlanta.
Is that right? Huh.
Yeah,
So yeah, so anyway, but yeah, then let's see, CJ scored.
Yeah.
And man, it's like so many
CJ scored.
CJ scored. Who am I for? Oh, Kellen scored. Yeah.
And Pariano.
And yeah, Nick Pariano scored. So I think well actually first so Nick had the PK goal. Okay,
Yep.
so Nick's because Kellen gets taken down in the box,
Which is a great play by him.
Yeah, and shout out Kellen. He's crushing it with the academy team right now.
They lost today.
Did they lose today? With the
U18s?
Because U16s, U18s, they were playing. But anyway, so yeah, those guys were crushing it though. But anyway, so Kellen gets taken down. Nick takes his PK on the money. Okay, and then literally Kevin Casey's still announcing like the goal from Nick, and Kellen takes it in and scores the fifth goal. So
Yeah, I was still writing the
I was like
tweet.
still like trying to type like my tweet about Nick scoring, and it's like, oh, and Kellen scores. So um
And that was a great goal.
it was really good because he has this little like
It was good to
dodge, and
see,
then he
it was good to see CJ get play.
yeah.
Now, like we said, we asked Ryan Richter, like Neil Pierre and Kevin came off at half.
Yeah.
That was for them to be on the bench on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yep. And
Um,
and then well, late in the game then, and we had Oliver Zemlin goal. And late in the game there's, a foul in the box. Atlanta gets, PK
PK.
goal, whatever. So but yeah, like that was more of what we were hoping to see from Union 2 though, even, even being up a man, but
Steph wasn't tested, but on the night outside the PK, he was fine.
yeah, he was fine.
Again, does this bring it back to like what Marlon said? USL's been around for 20 years. MLS has been around for Next Pro has been around for 4 years.
Yeah.
Is MLS Next Pro catching up to USL? And now the USL people would be like, no, that's a wild
I
take.
think it is catching up a bit.
It's not there.
It's not there, but it
No,
is.
and even Matt Real probably listening, going, "Oh my gosh, you guys crazy?" No, we're not saying that. We're
But
saying
it's getting there. It's getting there. You see the quality improving, and I'm just saying, Apple TV needs to allow replays of the games, but if they want to be a little more legit. But anyway,
I mean, they need to do a lot more with
yeah.
MLS Next Pro since we covered the league.
Yeah.
So as much as we do, we know the deficiencies in talking to people in the league.
Yeah, so
They understand that, but it is what it is.
yeah, so so Ryan Richter, he talked about the offense taking shape, and that's, I asked Ryan, is this what it looks like when they're clicking, basically? And yeah, like he was very positive on it.
He
And
didn't like that they gave up the
he
foul.
didn't, yeah.
And I appreciate that.
And he said he's being greedy, but they could have scored more even.
Oh, there was the Marcus Anderson, there was the Eddie
Uh-huh.
Davis. Doss had 2 chances. They could have scored like 7
Yeah.
8 goals on that game.
Yeah. So then post game, we did some post game interviews. We talked to Kellen, a bit about his time playing with the national team,
In the GA Cup.
and yeah, in the GA Cup, and just getting ready for that. And and then Nick Pariano, he was there post game as well. We got some stuff from you guys. If you're interested, you can read all about that in our article about Union 2. We have clips and everything from that. So yeah, so check that out. But moving forward, I would like to see. I think Stas is doing a great job. He's coming along. It was cool to see him celebrating with his buddies from Penn.
It was.
That was really cool that they were there supporting him.
I think the Union second team has a great benefit now. You got Eddie.
Mhm.
Even Sal looked good on the night.
You got
You
Marcus.
got Marcus and you got Eddie.
Yeah, and I would like to see. I think Eddie. He's coming off injury.
I like to see Eddie
like
and
to see him-
Stas.
Yeah, I like to see them start. I like to see more of Marcus too.
I would still go back to I don't
Marcus Eddie combination a lot last year was pretty
It
good.
was
But
really good. I mean, you got a lot of combinations that
Mhm.
Ryan Richter could deploy on any different defense.
yeah,
Like if they are susceptible to press, then
yeah,
bring in Eddie or even bring in Stas and Marcus. Like I'd love to see that. I'd love to see
Yeah.
Stas and Marcus.
yeah. You know who we haven't seen much of yet is Giovanni Sequeira. We haven't seen him really so much yet. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see him get in there.
What'd you think of Raphael?
I thought Raphael did really well. Like he's really looking good, I have to say. Like he's
How you pronounce his last name?
Uzkateki.
Do you think he could be eventually an MLS bench player?
You never know. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm
I-
pretty positive about how he's doing. And I know Ryan was really excited about him. Like,
I
very
think Uzkateki could make a fourth center back. I mean, he doesn't do anything offensively, but defensively,
He's been real solid. He's
yeah,
been real good. You
and I
know,
like his. Now he'll get you a yellow card like Makanya.
yeah,
He plays the game hard,
he does. I
but
really like his game though.
defensively,
Yeah.
he's very good.
I really like his game. And another one that I'm looking forward to seeing more from is Oscar Benitez. You know, we've seen a little bit of him so far. I think he's coming along, but like
I thought Ramsey was okay. Now I think
Ramsey's
he
done
got. I
okay.
thought he was the one that drew the foul in the
Yeah.
box, and he could have done better. I
He
think
could have done
he
better
was
on that, but
kicking on that himself on that, but he was good. I think they
yeah.
have a good. I think they have good. My question is still Isaiah LaFleur.
Isaiah LaFleur, he'll have some really good moments, but there's times he gets cooked. And it's like Bizo 2.0 sometimes. I hate to say it. Like,
Or Jameer Berdesio.
or Jameer Badesio, we would say last year was like,
I
yeah,
don't think he's that bad.
no. And it's a shame. Like, and speaking of Bizo, okay, like I know we didn't really talk about this, but you know, he wasn't on the injury report. And but then he was not in the lineup because this was asked about post game. He was on the injury report ahead of NYCFC, but then Bradley says he's dealing with his hamstring still.
Yeah,
It's like, so why wasn't he listed as like questionable or anything? So that was kind of strange, but you know,
let's not go any more into that.
yeah, I'm just like, huh? But anyway, because like we're like, what's is this a coaching decision, you know, or is it like injury? But anyway, um,
We'll find out about that.
yeah, so anyway, um, but I digress. So anyway,
Anyway,
yeah, the Union 2 are off for a little bit. They are not playing until they're away at NYCFC 2 on the 23rd. So this like they keep having these breaks. And
yeah.
I feel like okay, they got some momentum in this last game and now it's like they're going to be off like the next week and it's like okay.
Yeah,
So
this start and stop is not ideal. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure it's because of the GA Cup.
It 100% I think is because
Yeah.
of that. But so I mean at least some of these guys are still playing, you know, you've got a bunch of them involved in that. But the guys that aren't, you know, and you know, in the academy and stuff, you know.
But you're going down training this week, so
Yeah, so I'm going to training on Friday. So well, at least first
hey,
team.
Jillian,
Yes.
you're going. Well, you're going second team.
Well, if I'm able to.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, um
But anyway,
yeah.
what outside training this week? We got a couple more articles coming up. We'll be down for the game on Saturday,
Yep.
and
And if you don't already, make sure you subscribe. You can hit that subscribe option on our website so that you can get it delivered to your inbox when we have articles.
yes, and thank you guys
Thank you to those.
again.
We have a few more subscribers, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're doing good. So until next time, this has been an all new episode of the One Team We Agree On.
Yeah, so make sure you like and subscribe and leave us comments, interact with us on our socials. We love hearing from you. Give us feedback. If you have questions or anything at all, let us know. Because again, we appreciate it. And, you know, as of now, we don't do any lives or anything, maybe sometime in the future, but like we do love getting comments and questions.
We've had a lot of people like when you going to do live.
Yeah. So, thanks.
Stay tuned to this.
Yes. So,
And until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
And we'll see you at the game.